This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, and I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of all the controls is show producer, engineer, editor, Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that can and will change your life. You can contact us at info@mx3.vip and find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content, which comes out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. Okay, Jason, we don't have time to brag on ourselves today, but if you'll go back out to our large picture of the host studio, you can see our 128,000 K. We're a little bit over that now, 128,000 subscribers. So viewing audience, that's what that means when you pull that up, the YouTube subscribers. Last week, we talked about halftime show of the Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar. And here is the headline. And this is a story by Palo Sungo. Yeah. Said it as best I could. Remember, my major's not in English. NFL sent apology for Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show. Along the same lines of what we talked about last week on this show, Jason. So much has been said in the aftermath of Kendrick Lamar's polarizing performance during the Super Bowl halftime show. At this point, nearly 2 weeks after the Grammy Award-winning rapper took center stage in arguably the biggest sporting event of the year, and alike, people can still not be quit talking about Lamar and what he did at Super Bowl 59. As it turns out, even the NFL has internal discussions about the non-controversial performance, at least according to the U.S. Sun, let's say. Even before Lamar took the stage and took the world by storm on Sunday, February 9th, renowned sports writer Skip Bayless. You know Skip Bayless, Jason?
I do.
He's from the old Dallas Times-Herald.
Yes.
Old days, long time ago. And he's also now a personality on ESPN. I think he gets on there and fights with Shannon Sharp. Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah.
Yep, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
They battle back and forth.
Where I know him from.
He's also the guy who said Troy Aikman would never make it as a quarterback in the National Football League. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes, sir.
That's great.
He sure did. Skip Bayless dropped a bombshell on the high-ranking league officials who supposedly sent an apology to rapper Lil Wayne. He is a native of New Orleans. And for not choosing him, an insider who revealed to the U.S. Sun that the NFL did in fact send an apology to Lil Wayne after they decided to overlook him for what would have been a huge hometown performance. The U.S. Sun exclusively revealed that NFL bosses regretted snubbing New Orleans native Lil Wayne in favor of a Grammy Award-winning Kendrick. The sources now confirm an apology was sent over by choice. According to the U.S. Sun, again, NFL considers their decision to choose Lamar overall a mistake, especially after hip-hop icon decided to use the platform to further promote his feud with fellow rapper Drake. Lamar performed his Grammy Award-winning diss track Not Like Us as part of the Super Bowl halftime show performance, despite Drake previously filing a federal lawsuit against Universal Music Group, better known as UMG. Drake and Lamar's record label for spreading a false and malicious narrative by promoting the track. The U.S. Sun further reported that the NFL is intent on making amends for their regretful decision. The same kind of mistake won't ever happen again. And this is in quotes. And that was revealed by, once again, by the U.S. Sun. And this article where I've gotten my facts, written by Palo Sunko. All right. At the end of this particular article, they did a survey. What's your view on Lamar's Super Bowl performance? 3 options, Jason. Mm-hmm. It was inappropriate. It was a great show. I didn't watch it.
Inappropriate.
54% polled said inappropriate. 21% polled said great show. 25% said I didn't watch it, which goes along the lines of the statistics we put out on this show last week with where all the viewing audience was. So in essence, over two-thirds, 54 to 21, said it was inappropriate. That's your National Football League. Once again, one of the most powerful organizations in the world, ran by 32 billionaires and a commissioner who makes over $50 million a year can put that garbage out on the worldwide, all over across internet, TV, because you know the network is a very small part. You can watch this; they're watching this thing all over the world. There's people that don't have TV. You know, I know they put it on the big screens for the armed forces, etc., and big parties in London and here and there and everywhere. But it goes out to a whole lot more people today, and due to the fact, just like this show right here, how we can get out to the masses is through this internet. Okay, enough on that. I'm sick of talking about it, but I did want to bring it up because I did see it, and the NFL has reacted in the same way we have, and frankly, 54% polled, but the people who watched the show, over 2/3 had the same as Money, Motivation, and Mike. Now, moving on to something else here. Jason, did you happen to watch the Daytona 500 last Sunday?
I did.
Did you see the start of
the
race?
I did.
And this motorcade going around the track. And in that motorcade, a lot of black vehicles. And the Beast was in that motorcade with President Donald Trump sitting in and talking to the crowd. As they come down the front stretch, and I'm setting this up for what I'm fixing to say here. As they come down the front stretch, the grandstands were packed. Mm-hmm. Unlike we have seen at NASCAR events for a good 10 years now. I mean, they've taken out more stands than they now have so that it doesn't look vacant.
Right.
But just like they did over here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
And try to move the races to other tracks that frankly don't hold that type of population, trying to gain some interest. Because NASCAR fans, racing fans like bumping and grinding and all that stuff. So they have went to some smaller speedways, actually racetracks, not speedways.
Right.
Speedways 1.5 miles or bigger.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is where NASCAR was 20, 25 years ago. Fast. Now they've condensed it back down to where they brought in some of these old tracks. They had a race at North Wilkesboro back in last year in the 24 season. But nevertheless, the point here is there was a lot of fans in Daytona International Speedway last Sunday afternoon as the president and his motorcade come down through the front stretch, made a full lap around the 2.5 mile track. If there is ever a group who supports a conservative administration with gun rights and voting rights and, frankly, the rebel flag and the South will rise again and all them other cliches, it is NASCAR fans.
100%.
I don't know the number, but I would say if you went into that group in those stands and ask who you voted for, 9 out of 10 would tell you they voted for the conservative candidate. And in this particular case, it's Donald Trump.
Right.
Just like they voted since the beginning of time of NASCAR. They're from that conservative background. So, for Sam Frost to put out an article that says Donald Trump causes chaos for NASCAR fans at the Daytona 500. He released this, Jason, 2 hours after the Daytona 500. President Trump attendance at the Daytona 500 wreaked havoc for fans on Sunday, which bolstered security measures for the huge amount of fans trying to get through the gates. Entrance gates with Secret Service screening ticket holders before they could make their way into the spectator areas. Okay, says all that Trump caused havoc. They did not show one person, even at the Super Bowl, with some football players that are definitely from the Democratic side. Said it was an honor to get to play football in front of a sitting president.
Yeah.
And just like I was not the biggest Obama supporter, I could not tell you one thing that I agreed with in the Biden administration. But if they invited me to the White House, I'm going up there.
Yeah.
I'm going up there to see what's going on. Just like I did in 1994 when House Representative of the 4th Congressional District, Ralph Hall, invited me, and I went. Nevertheless, this is the second time. So this is the second time President Trump attended the Daytona 500 in the past 5 years. Okay, they had to do the same thing 5 years ago. Security screening. That stuff doesn't go away because a man or woman's not in the office.
Well, and there's also security screening anyway, but I'm sure it's just stepped up a bit.
Yeah, there's some ones, and you got to go through probably another level of security check.
Yeah.
Okay. And Trump becomes the first sitting president to attend the Daytona 500. So 5 years ago, he wasn't the president. He had just been defeated.
Yeah.
Trump becomes the first sitting president to attend the 500 twice. 1 week after he became the first sitting president to attend the Super Bowl, which we just mentioned. All right. So, like I say, this is Trump people if there's ever been Trump people in a particular gathering of 100 plus thousand people. They gave him a standing ovation when he come down the front stretch.
I would have too.
I'm just saying, I'm not sure.
I didn't know he was going to be there.
I didn't either.
When I turned on, I turned on Fox and they had mentioned he was going to be there, so I tuned in.
Guess who did know he was going to be there? The fans.
Okay.
As Daytona 500, owned by the France family, it's owned by NASCAR, cautioned all folks coming, arrive early, get here early, excessive screening because a sitting president is going to be in attendance.
Yeah.
Lots of heads up.
And they're going to heed that warning. My wife asked why we didn't go because once you found out Trump was going to be there.
Well, nevertheless, and this is the spokesman of the Daytona 500. Race organizers warned fans of the inevitable delays ahead of gates opening on Sunday. Due to increased security measures, we encourage you to arrive early. Please be aware that traffic may be unpredictable to allow extra time for the delays. Additionally, expect longer lines at the entry gates because of enhanced screening processes. Plenty of time.
Yeah.
By the looks before the race, there had to be less than 1% of the people sitting in their stands, and they probably were in the beer line or the hot dog line or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they were anti-Trumpers. They could have been in their seat, but they didn't because that's the way they feel. Good for them. The point is everybody got into the track.
Yeah.
Here now, Mr. Frost, writer of this particular article, goes on. Now, all those people that you saw at that race, these are the 3 people that were interviewed. One spectator said on social media, all this for someone to show up for 15 minutes, to show face, and leave to go play golf. Another wrote, all this just for him to leave at the first caution. He's not a fan of the sport.
Well, that first caution, was it not for the rain delay?
It was, but
and how many hours was that going to be?
She's just this particular lady is just trying to come up with something.
That they ran with 12 laps, right? And then it was a rain delay for 2+ hours.
Okay, this spectator, the third of this particular article, joked, "You guys are doing an amazing job of getting people through the gates. I might be able to see the last 100 laps of the race."
Oh, shoot.
Fourth, I said 3. Here's a fourth one. Trump is going to run yet another thing so he can get attention he craves so much. Oh, my goodness.
It sounds like they were already against Trump anyway. So they don't sound like supporters from what I'm hearing.
Do you think that Scott Frost is golfer. Sam Frost wrote this article because he wanted to show everybody what a great sitting president we have. Not the case. That's the crap that we talk about on this show, and why there needs to be referendums on media. Report the news, not make the news. That right there is as big of a joke of what went on at the Daytona 500 is anything that we've talked about on Money, Motivation, and Mike going on 3 years.
Yeah.
All right. Moving right along here. I had to point them 2 things out. Oh, Kendrick Lamar. He's taking a lot of heat.
Sounds like it.
When he had the stage to take his career to another level.
Yeah. Well, I told you, we didn't watch it together, but I had text. I was in a group with you, and I think I said that I didn't understand, but maybe 5 words of the whole thing anyway. So I didn't know I should be offended at the time until later I got to reanalyze it.
Yeah. You know what I did during halftime after I saw what was going on? Work tax returns.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay. Do the letters D.O.G.E. mean anything to you, viewing and listening audience? And you too, Jason.
For sure.
Department of Government Efficiency.
Not the cryptocurrency?
Not the cryptocurrency.
Yes, I have heard of the DOGE.
Officially, U.S. D.O.G.E. Service Temporary Organization. It was initiated by Donald Trump in his second administration and managed by businessman Elon Musk, getting a lot of headlines over the last month here, whatever it is, the first 30 days of the Trump administration second go round. Despite its name, DOGE, it's not a cabinet level department, but rather a temporary contracted organization under the United States DOGE service, formerly the United States Digital Service. Its purpose is to carry out Trump's agenda of federal spending cuts and deregulation, and according to the order that established it, to modernize federal technology and software to maximize governmental efficiency and productivity. The DOGE is scheduled to end on July 4th, 2026. And as I pointed out to you, that is the 250th birthday of the United States of America.
Yes.
I guess Trump and Musk and all of his current folks that are part of Department of Government Efficiency is going to give billions of dollars away on the 250th birthday.
Oh, yeah. Where do I sign up?
Exactly. Its creation and subsequent actions have been the subject of significant controversy, including protests and ongoing lawsuits in just 30 days. The DOG's actions of dissolving agencies and seizing congressionally authorized funds to be described as violating Article 1 of the Constitution and creating a potential constitutional crisis. Some of the Democratic Party members criticized DOG's actions, stating that the organization does not have the authority for its actions, calling its actions a takeover, a freeze, and just a coup. Conflict of interest concerns with Elon Musk. Okay, let's just say that that this DOGE does not have the authority. Well, these Congress people do. Why haven't they done anything? Mm-hmm. Okay, they don't have the authority. They've pointed some things out to you. Are you investigating that? Absolutely not. We're more interested in getting in lawsuits and defending what we don't want to know than going after what we should be going after. The White House and the Republican Party have defended DOGE and Musk, stating they are in full compliance with federal law. Now, DOGE is housed in the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. You should get a copy of that building, Jason, and get it up on our website. A couple of reasons. Number one, that's where this is going on. And the second reason, our studio is in Denison, Texas, the home of Dwight David Eisenhower. Annual budget for the DOGE is $14.4 million, and this is as of February the 12th. Already up from $6.75 million at inception. Now, you've already doubled the budget just for this little old rinky-dink program. The reason you've had to double the budget is because you're going to need more hands on deck than what you originally thought, due to the fact of all the waste that goes on at the Washington, D.C. level. Did you know that?
I did. There's the office building there.
There you go. Yep. That's where it's all going down. As of February the 19th, 2025, DOGE reported it had saved $55 billion in federal spending. Although analysts of its tracking website found only $9 billion. Oh, well, let's just dismantle the whole dadgum thing.
Yeah.
So we're spending on an annual budget. What did I say? 14 million? 14.4 million. And let's just say that they over exaggerated. And these analysts tracking the website have validated $9 billion. See, 14 million, 9 billion. I say we give it another month.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're sitting here. They don't even realize what they're saying. They've only saved $9 billion. They say they saved $55 billion. Well, over a course of a year, it's only going to cost you $14 million. If they didn't find another dadgum thing, look how much money they've just saved the federal government.
Yeah.
Jeez. Musk, I did not know this. I knew he was a large donor, probably the largest, but did not know the number. Musk was the largest donor in the 2024 United States presidential election, spending over $290 million in support of Trump and other Republicans, primarily in the final 5 weeks of the campaign. Musk suggested that the organization could help cut the U.S. federal budget by up to $2 trillion. All right. Do you know how many millions and millions and millions of dollars we spend on things that never materialize in this country?
A lot.
That's about all you can say, because you couldn't come up with a number.
No.
Because it's outrageous. My math degree and my accounting degree could not get you that number.
Well, I don't think you could get to it anyway, because a lot of these expenditures they have don't even have any kind of notation to them.
So I'm in favor of wasting another 14.4 million to have saved $9 billion in the first 30 days.
Absolutely.
Okay. $2 trillion by reducing waste and abolishing agencies that mean nothing and downsizing the federal workforce. Okay. eliminating federal agencies and reducing the number of federal employees by up to 75% in the first year. 3 out of 4 people.
Yeah.
He is stating that 3 out of 4 people we do not need in the federal government. That is incredible.
And I believe it.
How come all of the other Congress women and men, senators, anybody up there that's in legislature, how come they couldn't find at least 10? For that matter, and maybe it's because Trump did not have the House and the Senate 4 years ago. He seems to have a different approach to the office than he did in his first term of 16 through 20.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's more experienced.
He definitely is that.
And he knows who and who not to hire.
Musk says in his first 30 days that he's already figured that we could propose consolidating the number of federal agencies from 400 to less than 100. I think it's incredible. And Representative Rosa DeLarno, Democrat from Connecticut, is hung up on the fact that they are spending twice as much as the annual salaries of the White House. Did you know this, Jason? They're spending twice as much as the White House salaries in 1 year. The $14.4 billion?
Yeah.
That's twice the White House salary.
Oh, see.
Here is an interesting part. Whereas some Democrats have begun offering ideas to the DOGE, including the Democratic rep from California, Ro Khanna, who has ideas on cutting agency redundancies, instituting self-populating tax forms, as well as scrapping fossil fuel subsidies. Rep Greg Landsman, Democrat from Ohio, has proposed reducing the size of many government forms, such as student financial aid applications and tax return forms, while Rep. Reggie Torres, Democrat from New York, suggested making it easier to obtain permits for infrastructure and development projects. Further, Rep. Jared Golden, Democrat from Maine, has stated that he is working on a bill to move all federal agencies out of Washington, D.C. and send them to the states. And they're making these recommendations to the DOGE.
This is not a partisan issue. This should be a bipartisan issue.
I think that depends on who you talk to.
Exactly. And which channel you tune in.
Maybe you should tune into. Maybe the only channel they should be tuning into, Jason, is Money, Motivation, and Mike. MX3.VIP.
For sure.
We tell the truth right here. Known DOGE employees, and I thought this was very interesting, and as stated in the executive order, the organization works in small DOGE teams. I did not know this. Each team typically includes one lead, one engineer, one human resources specialist, and one attorney. Did you know that?
I didn't know
I didn't know that either. Each team, yes.
I know there's like 5 or 6 genius kids under Elon, but I didn't know how they were.
They call them kids. That's right.
Yeah.
Each team coordinates with the head of an agency. An investigation by TechCrunch characterizes the employees as inner circle, senior figures, working bees, and or aides. Now, I've got a list. Maybe you want to put this up. We'll see. I've got a list of the 44 current people working at the DOGE. This is the organization's members. I thought it was pretty interesting. Jacob Altic, court clerk and lawyer. He has said in, obviously, a lot of court proceedings. Anthony Armstrong, Morgan Stanley banker. And I'm skipping over things here. Alexandria Benon, engineer with Goldman Sachs. Ricardo Bassanet, Boeing Company and Tesla. You're going to have some Tesla and SpaceXers and Twitters on this deal for sure, seeing how it's being headed up by Elon. Matter of fact, here's Brian Bigodi, SpaceX Twitter. Here's you, James Berman, another Supreme Court clerk. The list goes on and on. Steve Davis, he's one of the heads. He was the CEO at Boeing. Joe Geba, co-founder of Airbnb. Interesting. Think he's working on housing?
Yeah, probably. Seems to be a fit.
Nicole Hollander of Twitter. Here is Galvin Kingler of LinkedIn. Keenan Kimmick, lawyer, another federal court circuit court clerk. Tom Kraus, cloud software CEO. I really like this one. Katie Miller. Any idea who Katie Miller was, Jason? Press secretary for Mike Pence.
Okay.
How about that? But, you know, they did talk at Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Rather briefly, wasn't it?
Congratulations, Mr. President. Been busy. I knew I'd see you here eventually. We knew Jimmy was at the end. Yeah. There you go. I thought that was very interesting. Amanda Scales, Uber, recruiter at Uber. Thomas Shedd, Tesla engineer. Brad Smith, FEMA, COVID-19. He was in charge of the stabilization task force for supplies during COVID-19. Christopher Stanley, Twitter. It also says that he is the side aide to Elon Musk. There's 44 on this particular list. I only touched on several. There is a full list online of the DOGE spending cuts, and I wanted to point out just a couple. The Department of Education. If there's that much waste in the Department of Education, why aren't they sending this money to the local, to the national schools? A long-time preparer, 35-year preparer of tax returns, obviously do a lot of teachers' tax returns. We give them a $300 deduction for the out-of-pocket money they spend because they are an educator. It's a joke. You'd be better off just telling them we're not going to give you anything than insulting them by, here's you a $300 deduction. Basically saying it's worth $25 a month. Take out the other 4 months or 3 months now that you don't teach. Okay, so it's $30 a month. What a joke. Send some money to them so they don't have to stop off at the Walmarts of the world on their way to work once a week to pick up the supplies they need to teach your children in 4th and 5th and whatever else grades there is. Just my thought. The U.S. Agency of International Development. Department of Agriculture. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The Department of Treasury. The Labor Department. Food and Drug Administration. Social Security Administration. Department of VA. Small Business Administration. Federal Trade Commission. Securities Exchange Commission. And the Railroad Retirement Board. And there's a bunch others. Those are the ones I point out. These are the ones where the spending cuts have already taken place. Okay. Which department has experienced the majority of the DOGE spending cuts? Would you believe it is the U.S. Agency of International Development? Continuing to spend useless money all around the world outside the borders of this great nation. They have faced the most drastic cuts. The U.S. aid was what it stands for. AID, Agency International Development. $6.5 billion has already been a cut. According to receipts, I would say receipts is back up. So now we're only looking for $2.5 million more of this $9 billion that they say they can only justify, even though Musk is into the 50 millions. The agency is listed first on the DOG's list of top 10 total contract savings, as well as for contract savings as a percentage of the budget. What do you think the second department is, Jason?
Department of Education?
Did you know that?
No, I knew they had a lot of cuts.
You're correct.
Yeah.
which once again saddens me that the Department of Education is listed as the second highest in total contract savings, $502 million. Now, that's only a tenth of what's going on international, and that's per the DOGE reports. Now, I don't like the fact that it has to do with education. It's not like we're cutting out teachers in school districts and houses and curriculum. It's the fact that we have money being wasted on education that really isn't need to be spent on it. It needs to be spent at the lower levels where the rubber meets the road, if you will. Over 200,000 federal workers have been laid off since Trump took office 30 days ago. And about 75,000 federal employees have accepted buyout plans known as deferred resignations. And that's per the Office of Personnel Management, not the DOGE. Okay. And the biggest hit, just like you said, the biggest hit is the Department of Education with people losing their job. Department of VA. Now, could that be because, we had the Gulf. That's the only major war we've had since Vietnam. The VAs, the veterans, are dying off from the Vietnam War. Definitely World War II.
Think they might consider Afghanistan?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But my point is the VA's budget continues to go up while the people who are entitled to VA benefits continues to go down. That would not make a whole lot of sense. The top four: Department of Education, Department of Energy, VA, and the Internal Revenue Service. Now, I'm going to make some comments here because I happen to know a whole lot about this particular topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll probably be getting a letter being audited here in the next week. The most dysfunctional waste of an organization in the history of government administration. Just going to leave it at that. But I challenge you. Actually, I don't want to challenge you right now because it takes a good 2 hours to get somebody on the line. And the first thing they do is transfer you somewhere else. But we used to have an old joking. We have two jokes in the accounting profession. The first one is, how many answers did you get to the same question on phone calls to the IRS during tax season? Call them 3 times, get 3 different answers, always the joke. And then the other thing is, how many clients did the IRS cost you this year during tax season because of their ineptness? Because you realize our thought process growing up, our thought process is the government knows best. That's where it all stops. The courts know best. All the policemen are good people. They know best. They're your real leaders. Okay. So if the president says it, it's got to be right. Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever. If the government official says it, that's what we should be doing. So when the Internal Revenue Service tells you something, that should be the gospel truth. And it's the farthest thing from it. And it's been going on. This is my 35th year of preparing tax returns and accounting. And it's been discombobulated ever since. And for what I'm told, when Reagan and Bush redid the IRS code in 1986, redid the whole thing. It's frankly never recovered from that. Now, it was 5 years before I started preparing returns, but nevertheless, it makes a lot of sense. We're 40 years into that particular set of rules and regulations, guidelines, etc., which was the only major overhaul since the Internal Revenue Service was put into play back in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, the IRS needs to be audited. That's exactly right.
Trump wants to do away with the IRS. What's your thoughts on that?
That's right. I don't. There are definitely things that he wants to do, and there's definitely things that he says that I don't agree with, such as, and in our accounting business, we have several restaurants, and those restaurant employees make tips. That is their major source of income. Why should you have your tips exempt from tax? Why is that any different than the wage worker It's not. As a matter of fact, it's almost a sales job. You could get $1 tip because you didn't do a very good job, or you could get $100 tip because you did exceptional. You are at your mercy. You're not limited to $10 an hour, 15, whatever it is. You're not limited to minimum wage. You can go in there and make yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars based on your performance as you come and you present that food. And you go to the big ticket restaurants where with 5-star, $75 steaks, those guys fight for those jobs.
Yeah.
They wine and dine and smooch the managers of those restaurants trying to get themselves a waiter or waitress job in that restaurant. It's incredible. Okay. Well, we've exhausted our time on another show here, Jason, and I don't want to go overboard with the D.O.G.E, but I'm intrigued with it, and I know we'll be talking about it till the 250th birthday of the great nation here, and we'll continue to see what goes on with this particular, I want to call it an agency, even though it is not an official department, but we'll continue to talk about it on Money, Motivation, and Mike. And as always, info@mx3.vip is where you can contact us, and you can find us at mx3.vip and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which Jason puts out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. So for everyone who's been a part of this show, Money, Motivation, and Mike, continue to live your life the right way.